Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We've come again to have a little recording and chanting and reading from Bhagavad-gita. Before I begin, I would like to offer my respects to my spiritual teachers, Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. And so we will begin now with a very short meditation called Sankirtan, the singing of these ancient mantras, and then we'll have a reading from Bhagavad-gita. Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Gopala Govinda sound great. Okay, let's read from Bhagavad-gita. And of those of you who may not be familiar with this very ancient Vedic scripture, Bhagavad-gita, this has actually been labeled or described as being the supreme book of yoga. So all the guidelines that we need in our life, journey, so to speak, is contained here in this Bhagavad-gita. Very perfect guidance. So we've been discussing in the previous meetings about ourself, the soul. See, that our true identity is spirit soul. We are the life force, the person inside the body. And the body is just our temporary residence, our vehicle, our apartment, however you like to envision it. So in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord himself, actually gives us a lot of information about ourself, the soul. So today we'll be reading from the second chapter, verse number 25. Krishna is saying that it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Now, the soul being described as invisible, for instance, it is impossible for the scientist or whoever the searcher may be to see the soul. It's invisible. Some people deny the existence of the soul because no one can see the soul. The soul is so small, we described a couple of meetings ago, that it's the size of 1/10,000th the point or hair tip of a hair. And so the soul is impossible to perceive through microscopes and any other method of seeing the soul. And yet we learn how big the soul is because this is Vedic knowledge that is passed down. See? And this is the way it is with this absolute knowledge. See, what we try to do in our material acquisition or search for knowledge is prove things, discover things, see things, hear things, you see, and so on. We use our senses, which includes, of course, the mind. And if we can perceive it somehow, then we declare it to be true. But if it's imperceivable or unperceivable, we can't prove it in this way. Then we say, it's not provable. Maybe it doesn't exist or it doesn't exist. However, we see it. We take a position based on this idea. The Vedic knowledge is very different than this. See, the Vedic knowledge is presenting absolute truth beyond our ability to discover it, perceive it, prove it, and so on with our material facilities, mind, senses, and so on. It's accepted. And this is how we can learn the absolute truth, because spiritual truth is beyond material understanding. This is something we must realize. That's why those who only use material facilities, their bodies, their minds, their senses, the extensions that they have created, like telescopes, microscopes, and on, will never know the truth. So the Vedic knowledge is to be accepted. There has to be an absolute truth. If there's no absolute truth, then there's no meaning to the word truth. See, that if we remove the concept of absolute truth, then truth is how we see it, how we perceive it, what we think. We create what is true, we create what is not true. We are the creators or the deniers of truth. But absolute truth is always true. See? And this is what we, the spirit soul, need to know. This is the light of knowledge that is described in the Vedic scriptures. So, the great sages, the saints, they themselves, the pure knowers of truth, they themselves have accepted this knowledge. They accept it as true. Why? Because this is Vedic truth. What is the source of Vedic truth? The Supreme Lord Himself. All of this knowledge comes directly from the Supreme Lord through a line of perfect teachers. And so a wise person, first making sure that this line of teachers is actually pure, that the scripture that he is receiving this knowledge from is pure. This is most important. But once this is determined, he accepts what is presented as true. Did he prove it? No. See, can he prove it? No. Does he know it's true? Yes. On this basis, you see, this person will become enlightened with this knowledge. So, again, the point is the soul is invisible, but yet we know the size of the soul. The soul is located within the body. This has already been discussed. And the position in the body is the heart. See, the surgeons who do heart operations have never seen the soul, but the soul is there. This is the soul's location within the body, in the heart. And it is explained, I think we talked about this a little bit before, that the energy in the body comes from the heart. See, consciousness is spread all over the body, but it emanates from the location of the soul, which is the heart, and so on. The soul is inconceivable. With our material minds, we cannot conceive of the soul. We couldn't conceive of the size of the soul. We can't conceive of the amazing ability and power of the soul. See? This tiny atomic spiritual spark empowers the huge body of an elephant. See? We can't imagine. Elephants in India are used as tractors. They can pull down trees. They can do construction work, whatever. You see, so powerful. Yet the power is this tiny little spiritual spark. See? The eternality of the soul. All these things are inconceivable to our material minds, but they're still true. See? And the soul is never changing. See? Our experience in the world is everything is changing. See? Say, for instance, our body is always changing. So it starts off as a baby, then it changes, grows, so it gets bigger and bigger. Our mentality and so on changes as we grow in size and age. Body's always changing. One day it's feeling good, the next day it's feeling bad. You see, one day, we're feeling very enthusiastic, the next day we're feeling very depressed. all kinds of ups and downs, changes take place. The material world is always changing. Our situation is perfect, everything is great, and then the next day, everything is upside down. Life in the material world is full of changes. But the soul never changes. It's always the same. So these things are absolute knowledge that we can accept as true on the basis of this perfect teaching and conduct our life, live our life in accordance. So identifying with the body, we're always grieving for the body. Oh, my body's getting old. Oh, my body's too big. It's too little. My body's sick. It's not whatever. You see, we're always grieving for other people's bodies. Oh, my loved one is getting old. My loved one died. We're grieving all about the body. Krishna says, no, it's not the person. See, we don't grieve about cars in the same way, do we? Oh, my car is getting old and we have great depression. You see, oh, my car, was destroyed in an accident. We don't have great depression. It's just a car. We know that. We don't get too involved. Yeah, sometimes, depending on how attached we may be to our car. An accident causes us big distress. Oh, my car. I love my car. But so you can just go buy another car. I mean, there's, too many already. There's too many cars. But when it comes to the body, we grieve so much because we think it's ourself. This is the illusion. And so a person who has this understanding, he doesn't grieve for the body. See, if we want to be concerned about another person, we should be concerned about the other person, not the body, but the person. It's not that we aren't concerned about the material condition of another person. That is built into caring about a person. Yes, if they're having a hard time materially, it affects us, and we, try to help them if we can. It's not that you become callous to other people, but you understand this is really not the person. This is a very, very big step forward in understanding life and understanding relationships and so on. See? So we'll look a little bit at text number 27. And here, Krishna is explaining, for one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Very profound statement. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Well, so we kind of all know that if we've taken birth, we're going to die, because obviously we have all taken birth. We know that. See, we even can prove it with birth certificates, but we don't need birth certificates to prove we were born. Here we are. And we also know we're going to die. We don't like to think about that. We like to try to avoid that issue, because we're just, thinking, oh, well, other people die, but I don't. And, we get older and older, and it becomes more and more a reality to us. Yeah, I'm going to die too, but not today. Maybe later, you see, not today. But the point is, we know that part, but we don't know the next part, perhaps. For one who dies, birth is certain. See, we don't know that when we die, we're going to take another birth. See, this is the way the material world is designed. We, the eternal spirit soul, see, we don't die. The body dies. So when we leave the body, which is called death, we are still existing, the same person we always were. Unfortunately, in most cases, our consciousness is still filled with material desires, material attachments. We have our accumulated karma and so on. And so therefore, under this condition, we have to take another birth in another material body. See, somewhere, in somebody. And that's determined by the things I just mentioned. Desires, attachments, karma, and so on. But Krishna is saying that's just how it is. For one who's taken birth, death is certain. Everybody's going to die. And for one who dies, birth is certain. That's the same. You die, you take another birth. So you're born, you die. You take a birth, you die. You take a birth, you die. It's called the wheel of birth and death, the cycle of birth and death. So these are just facts of life in the material world that we should know, that we should accept as true, that we should become comfortable with, because we know a higher truth. See, don't grieve for the material body. See, take care of the body, help others take care of their body. It's not to be neglected. It is very important. It is our tool, our facility we have to know this absolute knowledge, to use this knowledge properly in pleasing God with our activities and so on. This is valuable. The body is valuable. The mind is valuable. See, but it's not us. See. So when we have this level of understanding, then our life is quite different. You see. And all of this information is available in Bhagavad-gita. You see. All we need to do is have the interest to pursue this, look at this, contemplate this, apply it to our life, and things change. See, the soul doesn't change, but our mentality changes, our understanding changes, our awareness changes, our vision of life changes. Those things change, and we're moving toward more and more purity, coming to our real self, so to speak. See? Many people are on this quest. Actually, I shouldn't say many people, some people. Not many people, unfortunately. But some people are on a quest or a search to try to find themselves, you know. But really, all we need to do is know who we are, know these truths about ourselves, and become free of all these illusions, and we find ourselves. I'm spirit soul. I'm eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and on and on. Invaluable information. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. We'll continue now with another short Sankirtan.
Haribol, thank you very much. Namaste.